What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another exciting head-scratching episode of Insane Experiences. I'm sorry, Disappearances. I'm getting tongue-tied today. But if you came here to my channel, I am here to blow your mind with some very creepy, yet strange, yet crazy stories and cases of people who seem to just vanish without a trace in our national parks, our national forests, or pretty much anywhere in our urban areas all across the globe. So get ready, get set, and go with me so I can blow your mind. To start off, I'm just letting you know that today I got two stories for you, and the stories are very good ones, very creepy ones. The first one is of two Dutch students that was in Panama and went on a day hike. The second one is about, yes, you guessed it, or maybe you haven't, but I'm gonna tell you anyway. It is about the one person that you hear on the net about every time you get on the net. The one case that really boggles the mind. And yes, my friends, this is about Elisa Lam. Yeah, that's right, I said it, Elisa Lam. That's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to read it from David Paulides' book, and it's going to be a word-for-word detailed description of what happened to her from point A to point B. So, without further ado, let's get started, shall we? Anyway, the disappearance of Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon, last seen in Panama on April 1st, 2014. The Dutch students planned a day hike through the cloud forests that surround the Baruch volcano and left in clear weather. A dog from the hotel accompanied them on their trip, and staff became alarmed when he returned home alone that night. On April 6th, a full-scale search was launched, but no trace of the missing girls could be found along the trail. 10 weeks later, an indigenous woman found Froon's backpack along with a mobile phone and digital camera. Multiple 911 calls had been attempted, and 90 flash photos had been taken deep in the jungle between 1 and 4 a.m. on April 8th. Hidden in one of the pics, investigators believe is a form of that may be the body of one of the girls down a ravine. Okay, I'm gonna show you that photo real quick just so you get a good idea of what I'm talking about here. Let's see. It's the photos. And this will be where this will be where they actually circle. They put like a little highlighted circle around the area where they believe that her body is. And this right here, if you can see it, it's too much light. Okay, here we go. Okay, this is gonna be terrible. I'm trying to see if I can show it, but there's like a little hazy area. Okay, this is a little bit brighter. All right, let me see if I can get the angle right here so you'll be able to see it. Okay, yeah, this is kind of bad. Okay, well, you see that? Okay, there you go. You see that little highlighted area right there in a circle, and you see that little white patch? They think that might be one of the bodies of the young girls that disappeared in that jungle. Okay. Okay, believe that the body was in the ravine. All right. An extensive search for the area, an extensive search of the area where the backpack was found uncovered bone fragments linked to the students by DNA. The strange sequence of photos fueled rumors of terrible accidents, deadly crimes, and paranormal activity on the trail. But yeah, so preferably there was really no sign of them after that, so there really was no actual detailed information on the bodies or how they were found. They just know that might have been or might be the remains of one of the girls. I mean, they did find bone fragments in that area, so that was one of the young girls that was found, or that went missing. Now, as far as the other girl, we don't know what happened to her. They don't know what happened to her. She may have been one of the ones that disappeared without a trace through maybe a portal to go somewhere else. You know, I don't know. Maybe the area that they was in were inhabited by ghostly tribal people who sacrifice people to the volcano. Maybe, I don't know. But that is pretty much all there was on that story. Still pretty chilling though. But today, like I said, I promised that I was gonna get you a real good one. This is a real good one. Everybody talks about this one on the net. This is like one of the biggest stories that hit 2013 in Los Angeles. Okay, Elisa Lam went missing on 01/31/2013 in Los Angeles, California. She was 21 years old when she disappeared. I can guarantee that this is one of the most mysterious disappearances I have ever investigated. While this incident may initially seem completely off point from what we've investigated in the past, be patient. There are specific facts associated with this case that fit the profile we've established. Now to look, okay, now this is Elisa Lam right here, and I'm pretty sure y'all already know what she looks like from photos on the internet, but this is her. And this is the infamous hotel that she stayed in. Now, there are stories of more than just what happened to her at this hotel. A lot of things happened since like the 1950s. People jumping out of their windows, jumping off the roof, and landing on the floor to their death. People being murdered, raped, all kinds of stuff. There was one story about a man who murdered a bunch of women in his room. You know, but this right here, very creepy. Okay, it's unusual when a hotel plays a prominent role in the story. This story is unusual, and so is a location. This event happened at the Cecil Hotel at 640 South Main Street, Los Angeles, California. The history of the hotel varies from source to source. Some state it opened its doors in 1927, others state 1924. The building has 14 floors. Now, you know, there's this big thing about hotels and having a certain amount of floors. Now, even if you have 14 floors, there's a good chance that the 13th floor might be missing. But I think he said that this hotel did have a 13th floor, and everybody thinks that 13 is a bad luck number, so a lot of hotels have all the numbers except for a 13th floor, just to stay away from the whole bad luck shtick, you know. But I think this hotel actually did have a 13th floor, and that's one of the crazy parts about this whole story too, or one of the many crazy parts of this whole story. Okay, the building has 14 floors with 4 water tanks on the platform of the roof, a locked door, and an alarm restrict roof access. The alarm activities at the front desk. The alarm activates at the front desk if the door is opened. When the Cecil Hotel first opened, it was advertised as a location for business people to stay while in the downtown Los Angeles area. The area that the hotel is now located would be considered Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles. Skid Row. Yeah. Okay. I have often stated that we study history for a reason. Maybe you will Google the history of the next hotel you stay at after reading this. I don't think I have ever heard of another building anywhere that has the sordid history of the Cecil Hotel. The news, a news.co.au article of January 30, 2014 gave the following details about who had stayed in the hotel. The Night Stalker killer Richard Ramirez was convicted of 13 killings in the Los Angeles area from 1984 to 1985. Excuse me. He supposedly was living on the 14th floor. Excuse me. Oh, jeez. 14th floor for $14 per night at the Cecil while he was committing his crimes. Many sites called these satanic killings, and Ramirez made statements in court relating to Satan. He was convicted of 13 counts of murder, 5 counts of attempted murder, 11 sexual assaults, and 14 burglaries. In 1991, Australian Jack Untweger traveled to the United States and took up residency at the Cecil. He was supposedly a journalist covering crime in Los Angeles, in the Los Angeles area. During the 5 weeks he was at the hotel, he murdered 3 prostitutes in his room, per a January 30, 2014 article on news.com.au. Other unusual facts about the Cecil. In 1964, Goldie Osgood was staying in a room when she was stabbed and raped and died. Boy, okay. The case was never solved. Now that's unfortunate. Okay, during the 1950s and 1960s, the Cecil Hotel obtained notoriety as the location with the most suicides. Here is the list. 10/22/54, Helen Gurney jumped and landed on the hotel marquee, in the hotel marquee. 02/11/62, Julia Moore jumped out of an 8th floor window. 10/12/62, Pauline Otten jumped out of a 9th floor window and landed on George Giannini, 65, killing him instantly. Okay, now that is definitely crazy. Visits from serial killers and suicides have been shown to be a common occurrence at various times in the Cecil Hotel history. I think you'd like to know this before you check into a hotel. The room numbers that these individuals stayed in was never disclosed. Let me see the story. Okay. In January the story about Elisa Lam. In January 2013, Elisa Lam was a 21-year-old psychology student at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. Now see, British Columbia, Vancouver is the same place where Madison Scott disappeared. Not in that vicinity, but she stayed in Hallsback, Vancouver, Canada. And she has never been found. I believe in May of this year will be a total amount of 6 years that she's been missing, and they're still looking for her to this day, doing the thing that they call a poker ride, where they ride on horses going through the area where she was last seen. Trying to see if they can find some evidence on her, like maybe some bone fragments or whatever the case may be. But anyway, back to the story. Let's see now, where was I once again? Okay. Elisa was known for riding public transportation during her travels. The trip to California was no exception. She rode Amtrak South and arrived in Los Angeles on January 26th. She got a room at the Cecil Hotel and went to see the area. According to posts on Facebook, she went to the San Diego Zoo and saw the Conan O'Brien show. Cool. Okay, there are other details of Elisa's activities between January 26th and January 31st. Her friends gave statements that Elisa never smoked, drank alcohol, or took illegal drugs. Elisa Lam was one of those kids that called her parents daily. I do that too. I call my mom every single day. As a matter of fact, I called her and talked to her for a few minutes before I made this post. Okay. Let me see. They heard from her daily until January 31st, 2013. Excuse me, guys. The parents immediately knew that something was wrong. That something had happened to their daughter and called Vancouver police. That was very smart, because if you break your routine or your ritual for calling your parents, you're gonna know right away that something's wrong, because it never happened before. So that's very good how they did that. Okay. Let's see. Okay, Vancouver called the Los Angeles Police Department, LAPD, in parentheses, and asked them to check on the girl. LAPD went to the Cecil Hotel, spoke to managers and staff, and found that she was last seen on January 31st. The subsequent investigation into Elisa's disappearance included LAPD bringing in search dogs that scoured the hotel and were taken to the roof. Nothing suspicious was reported. On February 6th, the police released some details on the disappearance to the press. You can tell by this release the police had no leads and were looking for assistance from the public. On February 7th, LAPD held a press conference and answered questions about the case. On February 14th, LAPD released a CCTV video of Elisa getting on the elevator inside the Cecil Hotel. They claim that they didn't know the date of the footage. She is wearing black shorts, a red sweatshirt, and some type of sandals. She entered the elevator and starts to press the buttons to various floors. And they make it sound like she started doing it all at the same time, just like one by one by one by one. Okay. The door doesn't close, and Elisa backs into the corner of the elevator. Some sites have stated that she looks frightened. Some have stated that it looks like something is keeping the door from closing. It almost appears that Elisa is saying something at various points of the video. She cautiously approaches the doorway and then quickly peeks outside, apparently thinking there was someone just outside the doorway. Nobody is seen crossing the entry point of the elevator. So she again goes outside the elevator and checks the hallway of the hotel. At one point, she is out of view in the hallway and is seen moving her right arm. She re-enters the elevator with her hands near her ears, moves toward the button and starts pushing them again. The door still isn't closing. She exits again and appears to be moving her hands around the doorway, slightly crouched. It almost appears as though she is trying to touch something in the doorway and is addressing someone you can't see. She stays in view on the left side of the hallway until the 2:28 mark in the video, and then she walks away to the left, and the elevator door stays open until the 3 o'clock minute mark, and then it closes. It reopens at the 3:15 mark, and she cannot be seen. This video is widely available on the internet. February 19th, 2013, a series of residents in the Cecil complained of the water pressure coming from the faucets was very low. A maintenance worker for the hotel took a ladder to the roof, unlocked the door, shut down the alarm, and made his way to the 4,000 gallon tank, 4,000 gallon water tank, or water tanks. Uh, the tanks are sitting on a platform 4 feet off the top of the hotel. Each tank is 4 feet in diameter and 8 feet tall. See photos. Okay, now this right here is a photo of the rooftop of that hotel, and those are the tanks that house all the water. Okay, this is what you will find to be the most interesting part of the case. Okay, each tank is, okay, I did that part. Okay, the only way to look into the tank is to get on top. Open the secured latch, and open the small viewing hole. The tank is closest to the side of the building and against the far building side. The maintenance man put his 10-foot ladder against the against the side of the tank, climbed up and opened the latch and looked inside the far northeast tank. He saw the body of an Asian female floating face up and naked. The maintenance man immediately called the Los Angeles Fire and Police Department. LAPD responded with patrol units and detectives from its robbery homicide unit. Ooh-wee. Okay. All right. Let me see. Okay, this goes pretty far in. Okay, the opening of the tank was too small to remove the body. Too small to remove the body. The top of the tank had a larger hole cut into it. And the body of Elisa Lam was removed. There were no signs of trauma to the body. Investigators found her sandals and clothing in the water around her. The body was transported to the Los Angeles County Coroner's Unit. Investigators stayed on the scene for many hours photographing the location, taking measurements and trying to understand the bizarre incident that they just witnessed. On February 20, 2013, a broadcast on CBC Canada stated that they had scheduled an interview with LAPD to discuss the facts surrounding Elisa Lam, the Elisa Lam incident. When the interview was canceled at the last minute, they were told that higher ups in the police department had given orders that they couldn't talk about the case. There was a February 22nd, 2013 article in the Huffington Post that discussed the coroner's findings. The results of the autopsy were inconclusive, so coroner's officials said Thursday that they will have to wait for toxicological tests to determine the cause of death for Elisa Lam, 21, of Vancouver, British Columbia. Readers of the past books recognize this as a familiar statement from coroners on cases I cover. The Canadian and U.S. media pushed the Los Angeles County coroners for answers for many months. It takes 4 to 6 weeks for the most complex of toxicological tests to be completed. By early April 2013, nobody understood why the coroner wasn't making a ruling on the death. On June 20th, 2013, the coroner's office released its official finding. accidental death by drowning. They did not find any illegal drugs or alcohol in her system, and they did not test for GHB. They did find a 0.02% blood alcohol level, probably caused by the body's decomposition. See, I didn't know that the body actually produces a certain amount of alcohol when it's decomposing. You know, kind of like how when you have a piece of fruit and over time it starts to have like that alcoholic smell to it when it starts to get real soft. So apparently that also happens in fruit as well. I guess because of the acid content in the fruit. But I never knew that our bodies would produce alcohol. Weird. I wonder if you can make alcoholic beverages with that. That's just off the top of my head. But anyway, okay. Let's see. Okay, I requested a copy of the LAPD's report and the coroner's report. I received a 27-page report from the coroner, and LAPD refused to supply their documents. In the coroner's report stated that the same clothing she was wearing in the elevator video was found in the tank around her. It also stated that they spoke to Elisa's sister, who said that her sister was bipolar. Okay, see, so she was bipolar. Oh, I'm thinking something else, but still, had bouts of depression. Had bouts of depression, and was taking 4 different medications. She had never tried to take her life. The report noted that Elisa had what appeared to be mold on her body, bloating and skin separation, liver mortis was fixed, and she had bulging eyes. Oh boy. Okay. On one investigation note that I always look for in autopsy reports is the stomach content. On page 6 of the report is this. It contains scant red fluid. Okay. Portions of tablets and capsules cannot be discerned in the stomach. No urine was found in the bladder. Here is page 10 of the Los Angeles County coroner's verdict on death. The descendant died as a result of drowning. A complete autopsy examination showed no evidence of trauma, and toxicology studies did not show acute drug or alcohol intoxication. The descendant had a history of bipolar disorder, for which she was prescribed medication. The toxicology studies were performed for the presence of these drugs. However, quantitation in the blood was not performed due to limited sample availability. Therefore, interpretation is limited. Police investigation did not show evidence of foul play. A full review of the circumstances of the case and appropriate consultation do not support intent to harm oneself. The manner of death is classified as an accident. Jason P. Tovar, MD, Associate Deputy Medical Examiner, Yulai Wang, MD, Senior Deputy Medical Examiner. There was an additional report included in this package This was titled Los Angeles County Department of Coroner Criminalist Report. Okay. Man, it's a lot of stuff to read. And it goes on and on and on. This is a pretty extensive report here. Okay. Well, you know what? Okay, yeah, now there was a report about a tuberculosis outbreak in Los Angeles. And the funny part about that tuberculosis outbreak, the name of the test they used to perform on people who may have had it was called the Lam Elisa test. And it has actually been in place since 2008, so it's been out for a while. So that was one of the biggest coincidences in this case when it dealt with Elisa Lam, disappearing and ending up in that tank. Okay, now here's the crazy part of the whole tank situation. That covering to get into the top of get into the tank from the top was too small for her body to fit in, so it was a very small opening. Okay, that latch that opened up to a hole was just very, very small, so there was really no way for her to even get into that tank. So here's where it gets weird in my mind, and you know how I'm thinking, people. You know how I think when it comes to theories. I'm thinking that whatever took her, whatever she saw on the outside of that elevator, cloaked itself so it couldn't be seen by any cameras or by her alone. Now, in most cases, when you see a type of entity like that, most devices like a certain type of camera, like an infrared camera, can actually pick up movement from something that's invisible or type of energy. Even with ghosts, can be picked up by an infrared camera, with the heat signatures, or it could be a cold spot in an area that moves like a human. Okay, but you couldn't see any type of movement whatsoever, not even a silhouette of a person that was still invisible. Now, as far as her getting to that tank, this is what I'm thinking. Whatever that thing was that she saw that we couldn't see, it was able to phase her through that tank and place her there after it killed her. How it killed her, we don't know. I don't know, because it is the same way that another person, that the other people have been killed. There was no sign of death on the body. There was no kind of torture that was seen on the body. So what else could there be? Obviously, these beings have an ability to kill people without touching them, and they can phase you through solid objects, let alone reach into your body to remove your brain from your skull. I'm thinking, because all the other cases of people dying, they have no cause of death on the body and they're being found in the water. There is really only one thing I could think of, and I said this before, and Elizabeth Morgan told me that they do these tests, but I would think that if they did the test, I guess they were thinking that that's not an important portion of the findings because the brain was still intact. But if they didn't find the brain in the body, I would think they wouldn't mention that anyway, because that part would be the weirdest part of the whole test. You got a missing brain in the body, but there's no hole in the back of the head or no cut lines along the rim of that person's forehead. So that's just my take on that. But yeah, she was phased through that tank. That's the only way that could have happened. Now, David Paulides, or not David Paulides, but what's his name? George Knapp. He also mentioned something about a farm where these animals somehow ended up inside of a closed-in space where they couldn't fit, but they were still in there somehow. So somehow they got in there. But anyway. But yeah, that's my time on that story. I hope you enjoyed the part about Elisa Lam. I know I did, and it's definitely one of the weirdest cases that I have seen in a very long time. And the fact that she somehow got into that tank by means of something that was very supernatural. Okay, these people have the power to phase through solid objects, and they have the power to make you phase through solid objects. It kind of reminds me of what's that cartoon? Ghost Boy, Danny Phantom. Now, in that cartoon, they call that tangibility. So what he does is he can touch a person and make them intangible, meaning it makes their body transparent so they can pass through solid objects. And I think that's what they're able to do. They make your body transparent enough to phase you through a solid object, and they just place you there. Now not David, but Criss Angel do that on one of his shows when he had his TV show Mind Freak. There was an episode where he was able to pass through a thick, solid metal door. He went behind a door in his office, right? And one of the guys that wanted to see it was behind him, sitting down in the chair. Then he puts like this little piece of paper or a sheet over a certain portion of the door, right? And he begins to move his leg through a solid door, and you can see his leg come out from behind that sheet and land on the floor. Then you literally see him not so much you see him pass through the door, but this man is literally passing through a solid metal door, and he walks out from behind that sheet. And I'm like, how in the hell did he do that? You literally saw his leg passing through. They took away the sheet or the piece of paper, and you actually saw his leg protruding through the door, like a ghost. And I'm like, how in the hell is he doing this? You saw his foot move and everything. And then when they put the sheet back up, he literally just passes through the door. And the guy that's sitting down in the chair behind him, he's freaking out because he literally saw him pass through the door. And so, like I said, anything that you think that is impossible, it actually is possible. It's just that most people will say, oh, it's just magic, or it's just an illusion. Yeah, it may be just an illusion, but still, there are things in this world that we just cannot explain, no matter how much we do not believe it. But if we have faith in the stuff that happens on this planet, there will be a portion of belief along with that, because I believe it. I believe that Criss Angel passed through that solid metal door. I believe that he did it, and I believe that he was able to do a lot of things, like when he was trying to get a snack out of a vending machine. He didn't have the money, and he's banging on it, letting everybody know that that plate glass, like that thick plastic. He puts a piece of paper on. No. He took one of his head scarves and put it in front of the glass. Put it on front of the glass, and they held it up. He literally goes like this. He sticks his hand through the glass and grabs a snack, and he tells them to take the handkerchief off. And you literally see his arm actually is protruding through the glass. And then he puts the handkerchief back on top of his arm, and he literally pulls his hand out of the glass. He takes the handkerchief off, and he bangs on it and sees that it's solid. So, like I said, if he can do it, I know that's what happened to Elisa Lam. But she had help doing that. Somebody put her in that tank by facing her body through that solid metal tank. Okay, was very impossible for her to go down into the tank from the top because it was too small for her body. Plus the fact, I was gonna say that she probably had claustrophobia, but it didn't say that she had claustrophobia. It just said that she was bipolar. But at the same time, they already know that she would never kill herself. She didn't take drugs or anything else unless it was medication that a doctor gave her. But yeah, like I said, that's really weird. But anyway, I'm glad you guys enjoyed my channel, and I am so grateful to all the ones that got me to 100 subscribers. Now I'm at 108. I want you to keep it going. I want you to get me to 500. Tell your friends, tell your family members, tell your aunts and uncles and cousins, or whoever else you know that likes to listen to these crazy, mixed up, mysterious disappearances. Tell them to come to my channel. Like and subscribe below. Hit me up with a comment, and I will be greatly appreciated for that. And I just want to say once again, I love you guys very much. I'm glad you're enjoying my channel. I'm glad you're enjoying the stories that I read. I never thought that a person reading from a book would be like this much. I really didn't when I first started out, doing this over about 2 years ago. So once again, thank you very much. And also, I'm gonna start adding some of my crazy ghostly experiences. I want to do an update of the videos that I've actually done on my channel in the past, but I want to do an update and probably do them one by one along with the stories that I read, and a couple of UFO experiences that I've had, which were very strange and crazy. So stay tuned for that. I will keep you guys posted, don't you worry. So always imparting at the end, aloha, mahalo, and a hui ho. Love you guys so much. Stay safe out there, be blessed, and have a great day.